the Central Weekly, a weekly podcast from the Central Podcast Network. Ladies and gentlemen, you've got episode number 71 of the weekly, and we are kicking off the first week of our short summer series called Summer School. And for that, we've got two special guests because John is on vacay. So that means Trevor Isle.
What's up, everybody?
Woo-hoo. Hayden Paninsky.
Hello.
That was lame.
He took my good.
Sitting in the podcast studio for the first time in this new podcast studio. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you guys think, guys?
It's a little bright in here.
It's,
and chilly.
That's what John said.
It's bright and chilly.
That's the way I like it.
Yeah.
Bright and chilly.
Well, I like bright chilly, but it's not like that's what it is.
I'm still vibing on the intro music.
Yeah, it's good music and still going. So here's what we're going to do for the next 4 weeks during our short summer series. We're going to be bringing in three people. John will be joined by James next week, and because he's going to provide the sermon. And then week number 3, Hayden Paninsky will be sitting in with John and I. And then to wrap it up, the man, the myth, the legend, Trevor, full of control Isle.
Well, we'll see about that.
Trevor, for such a time as this Isle.
Like
Boom.
that?
Bicep. Again, this is why this needs to be on video.
Yeah,
but
what's
anyway,
the YouTube link?
We'll do that. Well, you'll be on YouTube, but it'll just be an image. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk all things summer school. We had a lot of fun. If you hadn't had a chance to watch the sermon this week in the series, it's kickoff. It was really good. I don't say that because I was involved, but we're just really hoping that this is a pivotal point for some people where we get a lot of wisdom, because these are all lessons that we've learned ourselves.
Or learning.
Current.
Or
Current.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, we jumped on it.
Present participle.
I think that's perfect.
Of the Greek.
A present part, because it is present. We're learned, but learning at the same time.
Active learning.
Yes. Yeah.
You Bible school guys.
Well,
Sorry, we took Greek in college.
well, I took Greek 3 times. Did
Took
you?
2 semesters.
Yeah. Well, mine equivalent was probably 2 semesters, but I kept quitting because it was bringing down my GPA.
I switched to a general ministry degree so I could take 2 semesters instead of 5.
Oh, really? See,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. See, I switched to a Bachelor of Science from Bachelor of Arts because I couldn't get the Greek. So,
The more you know,
but I thought Hayden, I took a biology class to get the BS. So,
clearly.
so here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the lessons that we've learned and just a lot of our school days. I think it's a lot of fun that we can have. And so we might go off on some tangents here or there. But really, it was kind of a fun element how we started our lesson. John, he wanted to be involved and interview us. You guys will get the chance to do this later. But since he was on vacation, shout out to Florida Panhandle, and he said, hey, guess what? All those people that have been in Florida from the central staff recently and haven't been able to get their whole body in the water, John said the riptides are gone.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's just a lot better lately.
The Hinningers arrive, and the blessing of the riptides are gone. So that's a good thing. So here's the deal. Because he was gone, he did mine per video, but you guys get the chance to do that live the next couple weeks. So he's going to ask you questions that he asked me, and mine were, did I enjoy school? So I'm going to just you can't answer that question now, but I don't think there's that many people. So my question for you is, did you enjoy school?
I did.
Yeah.
I learned after I was done with school how much I actually did like it. When school was over, I was like, oh my gosh, I actually enjoyed school.
Yeah.
In school, I wouldn't have probably said that same answer.
I would agree.
If it was an area that I cared about,
Mhm.
I was invested. If it was not an area that I cared about, I was. The older I got, I'm sure for everybody, the less I put the effort into it.
I think one of the questions, and I don't think we got it on there, but he said, what was a favorite time in school? And our favorite year in school, and mine was senior year. Because, I think my coolest years, I use that really, really mild. My coolest years were middle school, just because I thought I was, the man.
Did you peak in middle school?
I peaked in middle school. That is so true. I would even say 6th grade.
Hey, 6th grade was a fun year.
Seventh, I kept it together. 8th grade, but 8th grade. Here's the thing, and why I say that 8th grade was the year I really started taking my faith serious. So I couldn't have been the cool guy anymore because all my friends were. So I still had the cool friends, and they still went on to be the cool kids in high school, but I didn't. So that's why I say senior year it's senior year, you come back together. Even if you weren't friends since preschool, you come together for senior year. you go through all the senior stuff, and that was why it was my favorite years. Like everybody came back together, we were friends again. But I don't talk to anybody from school.
Were you in a Hallmark movie?
Yes,
that's what
we sang.
You all came back
put
together
our hands over each other.
Yeah.
One last hurrah, everybody!
I have a question. I think I have a theory. What was your least favorite year of high school?
Freshman year. No, sophomore.
You, Hayden?
Probably sophomore year.
Oh, okay. I'm wrong. I would have said junior.
Oh, really?
Junior year is the first 2 years are fun and easy.
Mm-hmm.
Get your driver's license.
I could
Junior
see that.
year, it is.
It's tough knuckle. You got to think about
ACT,
your
or sorry, now SAT, whatever. You take all the standardized testing. You got to start thinking about school and this and that. And like, I would say 3 years in, your friends are changing somewhat. Everyone's friends groups, morph a little bit. Yeah. Senior year, you get back to, do we really care? It's all good.
Yeah.
I think junior year's the worst.
That's a good point. So the way it worked out for me, I was always the youngest in the class. So my birthday, September 1st, that's literally the day in Unit 40 in Effingham where you're either like you transition. So I was either going to be the oldest or the youngest. Back in kindergarten, I was excelling scholarly. And my parents were like, yeah, this is great. Let's put him ahead. So I was always the youngest. I always think, what would my life be like if I was the oldest in the class versus the youngest? Because
it's great.
Exactly. You guys, both of you have...
I'm in the middle.
Okay.
I'm the oldest.
Birthday.
Hayden was the oldest.
I'm August 27th.
You were probably the oldest.
One of the oldest, yes. Yeah.
It's
great for especially sports and all kinds of different things. Now, your parents, in my opinion, your parents said you were excelling. Most likely, they probably didn't want you at home for another year, so they sent you to school.
That's good.
They sent you to school.
That's good.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed being the oldest, especially like once you got to high school, sophomore year. You're the only ones of 4 people that have your license, so you could make some money.
So
driving people to lunch.
Continue that thought back to me though.
Yeah.
Literally did not get my license till September 10th on my junior year. That's
rough.
Miserable. The complete sophomore year and summer after my sophomore year not driving.
That's miserable.
It was.
Yeah, that's tough.
Thanks.
Have you talked to somebody about that?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
I'm going to go do some MDR, stuff on that. So, but here's the thing, too. Going back, he asked the question, most embarrassing moment. Now, maybe save that for your week. I want keep that a treasure. But for me, a lot of my most embarrassing moments probably couldn't be said on stage at a church setting because it was things I probably did. But I'll say it on the podcast. So one of my most embarrassing moments was, so it's funny because the one example I do in service was in the Oklahoma musical. So I was dressed
Oklahoma, Oklahoma.
I'm amazed that you just sang a cowboy musical. But anyways, so we had another cowboy musical called, I don't remember what it was, but so we were wearing cowboy boots again. And we thought, I was a junior, and we thought it would be hilarious to urinate in the boots of the freshmen. Funny, right?
You were a senior?
I was a junior. The seniors and the juniors did it. So, and it is funny to think of pranks in theater. That just sounds funny. But yeah, I got called to the principal's office, and at that time, my mom was on the school board. So when I got called into the principal's office, I was so embarrassed because he was going to tell her, and now it was a whole thing. And yeah, what about you guys?
Are we saving ours?
You can save your big one. Do you have any other embarrassing, maybe not most, but embarrassing moments in school?
Sure, I have tons of them, and
perfect.
I don't have any.
Well, I have so many, but a lot of them I won't say because I want you guys to still like me. But I remember once in a class, I think it was an anatomy class. I'm not a good reader, and I don't pay attention well either. So like the teacher was getting mad at me, so she made me stand up and read in front of the class, and it was the Heimlich maneuver. But when you look at the word Heimlich on a piece of paper, it's like Helimich. And I said it in front of the whole class. Everybody started laughing at me, and I didn't realize what was going on, and that was very embarrassing. I was a senior.
I'm still not a good
and I
reader.
couldn't say
that
Heimlich.
Was senior year?
But it's spelled like Helimich.
Yeah.
It's spelled weird.
It really
and
is.
I wasn't paying attention, and I should have known maneuver, like Heimlich maneuver.
Maneuver's not super easy to read either.
No. What's that word? Remember with CIY, that one guy, he had a whole almost lesson on saying that one word wrong. I can't think of it. It's like a church word, but I shouldn't have said that because I don't remember what it was.
I don't remember that one.
Okay, so let's talk sports, okay? You both were heavily involved. Excuse me. Going back Trevor, embarrassing moment. We'll get to sports next.
I just did. I was good for one screw up a year.
Okay.
You know, like it wasn't like super embarrassing. It was just
I
one
see that.
idiotic move a year that were like, what were you thinking moment.
Because you told us in a sermon before about the toilet paper.
Throwing the paper towels and toilet paper on the ceiling.
Yep.
The following, that was third grade. The following year,
You have this document.
there was a competition between my homeroom teacher went over to the next one to teach science.
Okay,
the
yeah.
flip-flop classes.
Yeah.
And we had competitions on who had better science test scores.
Okay.
Our class was dominating test after test.
Mm-hmm.
So we built this science trophy, and our class got to keep it every year or every
That's
test.
like creating your own trophy.
Right. So the other class came in and stole it one day while we were out at recess or something. And so when the other teacher came over, she was teaching us social studies. Me and two other very intelligent young men took little pieces. We were building Pueblo houses.
Okay.
And we took some clay and we threw it at the teacher because she engineered this heist of our science trophy.
We're bad.
And the problem is we didn't hit her; we hit the girl standing next to her. And
that's kind of thick too. That
well,
clay stuff.
it was, but it wasn't like large pieces. They were
It wasn't hardened.
Yeah,
just
was
the
small
stuff they used
pieces.
like in the Civil War and they put in guns, you know?
Big enough where the girl like felt it on her cheek, and she was like, "What was that?" And so then we lost recess for like a month. We had to write like a 300-word essay of like why we were sorry and why that was bad. And so then I was like trying to hide it from my mom, but only tell my dad.
Yeah.
It was one of those deals.
Yeah, I can believe that. Okay, sports. Because you guys accelerated in sports, I think. So sports for me was played it when I was little. And then when middle school came along, I was on the team. I could make the team, but I wasn't going to play. You know, I was that, you know, if we're playing basketball, I was maybe going to get in on one game at the end. So I just thought, this is useless. I'm going to do other things. But for you guys continued in high school, right?
Kind of.
Yeah. Baseball. I think we just played baseball, right? Did you play golf?
Like golf.
Yeah, I just played baseball.
And favorite thing about being in sports in high school and just in school in general?
Guys you grew up with. You know, you played summer ball with forever and just continued to play ball with. And
yeah.
I wouldn't say I got tons of playing time on the varsity level, but I got to be with I might be like all-state courtesy runner. Like if they have, I saw the other day they're taking nominations for the 2024 Hall of Fame at Mount Vernon High School, and I thought about putting my courtesy running stats up there to see if they'll take me in.
Yeah,
good.
But I would say the same thing, like baseball specifically. But like we had a very heavy senior class, and like we had 11 graduating seniors on the baseball team, and like that just never happens. And we played together since 5 years old, all the way up to you're 18. So like that's really. I mean, most of those people were in my wedding. Like that's just.
Did you guys win? Rome, they won something then, but not in high school, right?
Hayden, tell me how many times your name's on the wall in the Rome Gymnasium.
Cool. Several.
For winning the state championship.
Speaking of peaking in, I peaked in grade school, and I won. I don't know. I won a state championship in every single sport at Rome: cross country, track, basketball, and baseball.
That's all the sports they had.
At the time, that's all they had. So I doubled up. 4 or 5. I don't know.
So when you get into high school, you're thinking, okay, this is going to continue.
Yeah, and it did for a while, and then I just
you guys got the best finish in baseball history in Mount Vernon High School.
Yeah, we were the only team that ever placed at state. We got 4th. Technically, I mean,
so Hayden is in the Hall of Fame at Mount Vernon High School.
Yes, as a team.
As a team.
It's better than me.
Yeah.
Does that put you on a wall somewhere?
It's on a plaque.
It's in the trophy case.
Oh, see, that counts.
Yeah, I mean.
So here's the funny thing about me. My story that I told you is a true story. Didn't play in high school. But when I got
I know where you're going with this.
When I got to Christian college,
yes, I know exactly where you're going.
I said, "Hey, I'd like to play," and so because I still played, so I played college baseball.
Same.
And so what that
did you play college baseball, Hayden?
No.
Well, so went to state in high school, didn't play. The two of us played because we were playing. I mean, let's be serious. So college is a big deal, but this wasn't. This is Christian college. So let's do you got NCAA.
You got Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, NAIA, all this other stuff. We were Christian college, Division II.
Christian
I
college.
mean-
Okay, so that's maybe at least 6 steps down the ladder.
It might be 8th grade baseball equivalent.
Really, because there was a lot. I think we even played I think we played a high school in St. Louis,
And they probably
we
beat
lost.
you.
Beat us bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was their junior team.
Their JV team?
Their yes. So
There's no doubt about it.
because the fall ball we played in spring was the season. So fall ball I went and I played and I was a second string right fielder. Okay.
Jared, our colleges don't exist anymore.
I shouldn't even be bringing this up. But then by the time the season came around, the spring came around, those people that were starting had graduated out in December. So I was the starting center fielder for the spring, and we won 0 games.
I'd say, not to one-up you, but similar
Please,
story.
It's going to be easy.
No. I didn't play my first couple of years because I was just doing other things.
Yeah.
So my first senior year, I said, I'm going to play. I'm like 21. I haven't
Wait,
played.
you didn't play freshman, sophomore?
I just didn't go out for the team.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no. And so like I was my first senior year out of 2. I said I'm going to go play. And in high school, I played 6 positions, all 3 outfield spots, second, third, short of some variety.
Yeah.
So I've never played pitcher, never played first base, never played catcher. Opening day, I'm catching on our team.
Yeah.
And I had to embarrassingly go up to the umpire and be like, hey, Blue, this is my first time I've ever caught in a game before. So I was missing balls that were hitting the glove. It was so embarrassing.
Yeah, catching's hard. That's what
So
I
stupid.
did in
And I
like what we
pitched.
called Corey League, which is really Little League. I guess Effingham just doesn't want to pay for the Little League, so they did their own called Corey League. And we won the least amount of games in the season, but then we won the championship at the end. So that's my favorite sports memory was, so we just won the championship, and then all of the players are supposed to stay around, and then they announce all of the teams and their placements, and they give out the trophy. So then they go through maybe the 15 teams, and then so we go to the outfield because we were last in that league for the season. And then they go, okay, and now the winners of the tournament, the playoff winners, and then we were the Dan Heck. That was our team, the Dan Heck Chevrolet. And so we got to be in the outfield, run to the home plate to get our first place trophy. And that was a cool moment. And we just had this. I remember I miss baseball. I really do. I miss baseball. But that's it. Okay, so if people have not left this podcast already, let's talk about the sermon. Week 1, we're looking at basically for this series, summer school, summer's in session, lessons that we've learned. For me, I just really felt a call to talk about shutting your mouth. And really, I made it a little more delicate by saying, less talk, more listening. And that's from James.
The heart of it was shut your mouth.
It was. I mean, that's something I need to hear. I know not everybody should hear that in that direct way. But it's really something I heard all the time growing up. And it's a spiritual practice, I think, to do that. So that's where I was kind of led to there. So, but it all started off with the jumping off point of James. I'm going blank now that I made my joke. James 1:9, right?
No.
James 1:19.
119.
Thank you. And so really looking at, and I think we in our society, and I think this was something you talked about, we in our society, we just don't know how to have an argument anymore because we just can't have a civilized conversation because the tone just gets too much and we think things too personally maybe. What do you think, Hayden?
No, I agree. I don't, when you say don't know how to have an argument anymore, you don't have to have arguments. Don't have a conversation because every conversation turns into an argument, and then we don't argue correctly.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. There's the idea when you put the idea behind it that we always have to be right, and then we always talk. Then when somebody else says something, you just immediately think they're wrong, and then you don't know how to just listen to them, and you don't have to. You can let somebody be wrong, and I think we don't allow ourselves to do that. Even if, sometimes we just hear them out. You didn't change what I think, and I'm not going to change what you think. It's not going to do any service by us screaming at each other for 20 minutes. So
Why use lot word when few word do trick?
Exactly.
That's nice. Well, the two of you I look up to in keeping your mouth shut. I think you both are in a category of slow to speak and quick to listen. Do you think you are?
Depending on the situation, absolutely.
Not with each other.
Yeah, that's true. You
that's
guys
true.
bicker like
Yes, we
brothers.
do. You're not wrong. Yeah. That's just kind of my personality.
think
Unless
it's
you
our
ask me to speak, I'm not going to speak.
It's our introvertedness.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
Because I mean, I think you guys are ambiverts. I think there's both.
Tell me what that means.
Yeah, I
It
don't know
means
what that
you're
is.
both.
Oh.
Oh, so
Introvert.
left-handed
Ooh, I
and
don't like
right-handed?
that.
Yes. Yeah. What's the sports word for that when you can use both hands?
Ambidextrous
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I said that right.
Close enough.
See the I guess that's the thing. But Maria says she's an ambivert because she can be
Like a
talking.
carnivore?
Yeah, exactly. But at her heart she's an introvert. And do you think that came from your parents?
Oh, for sure.
Oh.
I mean, Trevor, I think I know. Yeah.
For sure.
Well, I kind of touch on this in my sermon, but like I come from an education family. So both my parents were administrators forever. So like
You should have done better in school.
we're not talking. Anyways, so I know what it's like. They'd come home and have conversations, or I'd be at school and parents are always coming up and talking to them. Like it's important. Like if you want to be not only a good Christian, but you also want to be successful in life, you have to keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
Like there's people are going to tell you things, and you need to be a soft ear for people to say things to, and that doesn't. Sometimes people just need to vent, and then the problem's fixed. So if I'm talking and they're not venting, and they're going to tell somebody else, and that person may tell somebody else, and the chain reaction starts.
Yeah.
So I would say yes. My parents taught me a bunch of how to not speak unless spoken to.
Hayden, I don't know if you would. Do you know your? Sorry, I'm gonna derail us here for a second.
Keep going.
Do you know your Enneagram number?
I believe I'm a 6.
What does that mean, Jared? You're the Enneagram
No.
I think it's a
via-
loyalist.
No.
via marriage.
No, I'm not an expert anymore.
Oh, you guys have walked away.
We've walked away from the Enneagram.
You walked away from the faith.
You need to watch
Enneagram.
You need to watch Jackie Hill Perry. She dove into the origins of the Enneagram, and it's not good.
Okay.
I'm gonna practice a sermon title and just not say anything.
Yeah.
Are you bringing up Enneagrams in your sermon?
No,
Oh.
I'm just your sermon.
Well, I'm just saying.
Oh.
I'm just saying, as a 5.
Yes,
But
And
tell
that-
us
that
about your
fits in.
parents, Trevor. Well, how are,
but as a 3, yes, I agree that as a 3, they are really quick to talk and slow to listen. I think I said that right. Just because you really, I as a 3, as a person,
As a former 3.
Yes. I'm going to get mail about this. No, nobody mails. Nobody talks to me about this podcast. But really, we're really task driven, and we like that notoriety. So, and I think a thing too for me is I always am thinking what other people are thinking about me, and that's so prideful. But it really is. If I say it this way, and I have to talk in order for me to understand that you understand. Does that make sense? Because if I misunderstood, then that will drive me up the wall.
Yeah.
And so that's why I talk a lot. And it's funny because I get the most nervous around people that don't talk a lot. If I can't read you, if I can't really get in your brain, and that's why, Hayden, for you, sometimes I get really nervous around you because I don't know what you're thinking. Not, and that's a good way, not like you're dumb or anything, but so around Zach Nave, I do the same thing. I get a little nervous because he's steady, and you're like that too. And so if I can't read you, I just start talking a lot, kind of like I am now, and you're staring at me.
listening? So I listen.
But here's the thing: active listening. Have you heard of that word before?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is to like have an open posture,
Yeah.
body language,
Yep.
eye contact.
Yep.
Yeah.
And repeating back to what they say.
So what I hear you say
Mhm,
is
mhm. Do you practice that in your marriage?
not
No.
actively.
Semi-active listening.
We are listeners.
I'll give
not
the head
active.
nods, yeah.
Mhm.
But if it's actually going in the ears, I don't.
It depends.
I even get to the point where if I try to, I feel like I'm giving her some verbal feedback. If that verbal feedback interrupts her, that's not good. So even
You could be an
uh-huh.
overactive listener.
I get that way sometimes where I'm like really into it, and I was like, she made a good point. I'm like, yeah, and she's like, why? Don't interrupt me. And I'm like, I'm not. I'm trying to tell you that I'm listening.
so you would
But
say, what I hear you saying,
I
is she's
need to-
like, don't say that.
no, what I've learned in this is let her get that all out. Then when she's done, repeat back what she said. For me, I forget.
Yeah.
And then that gets me in a whole world of hurt. But really, this active listening has been, to be serious, it really has been a really pivotal thing for our marriage because, again, it takes your mind off yourself. and it puts it on somebody else.
And I would say just spiritually, you hit on a lot of things, which I would like to get into in a second. But even just if you just took that part out of it, like a friend to friend, there's really nothing worse than like trying to have a conversation with somebody, and their response back to you was nothing about what was just said. It was just they were just waiting for their turn to talk.
Yeah,
and they're gonna talk. It's like two people shooting arrows at each other.
Yeah,
and it's just like no one's listening. No one is. So when
both
you just
getting hurt.
Yeah, you're like you say something, and they're like, yeah, but I was thinking like, you're like, that has nothing to do with what we were just talking about.
Because I think that's the point. You need to be quick to listen, but we also need to be slow to speak. And then, so really, I say in the sermon, James takes the whole third chapter.
Your whole third chapter, James, was money.
Is just all about the tongue. And it's fun. I try not to make a silly boat reference. I was coming out of the boat series, and I thought I needed to make a couple puns, but I didn't. I stayed strong. But really, the rudder of a ship is a good example. It moves. It's a small piece of a boat, but it moves the entire ship.
A bit of the horse.
Yes. And I think it's super good to know that even those small comments, I say a lie, an insult, a piece of gossip, can damage relationships, destroy trust, and produce a whole series of unexpected and hurtful outcomes. So my question for you is, has your mouth ever ended or almost ended a relationship?
Oh.
On purpose?
For me, yeah.
How many examples do you want?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I've put my foot in my mouth a whole lot, but I've always kind of, again, I think it's a pride thing. Think I can talk my way out of something, because I'm not very self-aware, I think. But then again, because I think almost sometimes I'm over self-aware. I don't know. Maria can tell me a little bit more about myself, but I think I'm self-aware, but not correctly self-aware. Does that make sense? So I don't think I can't remember a time where my mouth has definitely got me in trouble, but it's never severed a relationship or like really hurt one where I had to like come back and talk to somebody. Besides Maria and messing things up sometimes there too.
I mean, in college, was that whole era of like trying to find out who you are, or what your personality is anyway. You're just like kind of bouncing from friend to friend sometimes anyway, and you're like, well, I don't really care. Yeah. So I'm just going to say this. Or back in the day, it was kind of like in our era, it was over Facebook Messenger.
Yeah.
And it was just like, is what I think.
And that's something, Hayden, I'll let you come back. That's something that we really I didn't even talk about in the sermon, was just like how this is instrumental now in social media. How, yes, our voice, we're not using our tongues, but gosh, we're using our voice online.
Keyboard warriors. That's what they call that.
And we really are. So, hey, back to you, Hayden. Any hard relationships? Your mouth got you in trouble?
Sure. Not that I remember, but I guarantee it has. I mean,
We've got a caller. No, I'm just
that would be something. I mean, most of the time I just say it how it is, and like my feelings usually don't get hurt, so I'm assuming people are also like me. So I just kind of say things that has nothing to do with your feelings, but people take it emotionally.
That's why you're a good umpire.
Sometimes. But yeah, like, so definitely like wife and family members and stuff, like I'll say something and there's no meanness or anything behind it. It's just a comment, and then it gets taken the wrong way.
Yeah.
Or the way it should be taken, and I just don't take it that way.
You say like, I'm not poking fun at all, but you said that's how you and your mom talk.
Oh yeah.
About that one day you're like, no one wasn't feeling good. You're like, he was eating your oils, all the chips and stuff.
Yeah, that is true. I got onto her, and sometimes I need to be nicer.
Yeah.
But I don't.
But you guys, that's just the type of relationship you guys have. It's different. A little more direct.
We're different.
But with you, Hayden, I guarantee you're the same person in public and in private.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the time. I try to be. I mean,
with most people.
That's his. Yeah. I try to be. Yes.
And because I think too, the way that James is talking about how we can't. A common thing that we say is talking out of both sides of your mouth, where we can't, like, he uses the example of a spring or some produce, where a grapevine can't produce figs, and you can't have a fountain bubbling both salt and spring water or whatever. And it's just crazy how often our mouths are like that.
And just your ending verse is just perfect though. And a lot of times we'll say, well, I'm just not going to say that. Well, it's not a mouth issue, really. It's a heart issue.
Yeah.
and you got to connect yourself to the right things to have a more positive internal thing, and then your mouth can then follow.
Yeah. And I think that's why you have to talk about all three of those, being slow to speak, quick to listen, and slow to get angry. Because we could talk about our mouths and our tongues and the damage that it can do, but it all comes down to our heart. And if you have the right heart posture of humility, like we have in Jesus, that's what changes relationships for the better.
Yeah.
There we go. I'm really good at these transitions. And that's the thing. I love that we have homework during this. We have discussion on how important we think this homework should be, or we should give merit to doing a simple thing like memorizing one verse. But that's my homework, and that verse that we have, it's a kind of a cutthroat verse. I'm going to read it for us.
Yeah, read it for us.
James 3:6. It's not like a warm and cozy one. But it says, the tongue is a fire, a world of evil among the parts of the body. It corrupts a whole body, sets the whole course of one's life on fire as it is on fire by hell. I just said that completely wrong. But we have to remember that there is so much power in what we say. And if we're able to be cautious about what comes out of our mouth, that's going to make us cautious about what our heart posture is. Because where your heart is, that's where
I think you touched on humility a ton.
Yeah, which next week, that's what James is going to really hit hard.
Yeah, and if you can get to a spot in life where you don't care to respond, like you don't have this fighting urge that I have to get the last word in, or I have to respond, or what if they think about me if I say this, or what if they think about me if I don't, whatever, and you just kind of lose that insecurity, which is way harder than just saying that, but.
Yeah, I think that's why at that really end, I say the goal is a heart like his, always willing to lay down his life for another, and then willing to be misunderstood and willing to be mocked. Because
to be misunderstood,
that was a big thing for me. Because and that's the one thing where I've learned about anger too, where I can't control what your reaction is, but I can control what my reaction is. Even if you spit in my face, I can't control what you're going to do, but I can control my action back to you. Even if my actions would be justified punching you back. But I think, and that's a big thing where I think we have to respond back, and we have to make you understand, or we have to almost put you back in your place. And really, that's not up to us. That's up to them.
It's defending yourself and being offensive at the same time.
Yeah. Yep. That's good. So that's it for week number 1.
We're done already?
Yeah.
Wow.
This isn't the praise podcast.
Oh, sorry.
Do you want to tell more high school stories?
You probably should have been slow to speak on that one.
I should. Now I'm going to hear about that. No, that's our little 1-2 jab there. The praise podcast is usually a nice solid 2-hour blank. But so here's the thing. Next week is James McKenzie, our discipleship pastor, Mr. James McKenzie, and
my boss.
And he's going to tell us a story, which I really love. I hope he does, about getting in trouble in high school. And basically,
the one story.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's the thing. Okay, so these are lessons that we've learned along the way. It is everybody's clued in that Jared struggles with his mouth. Easy one. But James McKenzie to be talking about humility and considering others better, to me, that's like, okay, that's great. You've mastered that, James. Thanks. But that was when he said, no, this is something I've struggled with. So that's going to be, I think it's going to be a really good sermon for us to all hear. So, but before we end, I want to talk about Summer's school photo shoot at Summersville.
That was a lot.
Glad you waited till the end.
Best
you're still
promo
listening.
ever shot.
Seriously, the best promo that is ever.
And the thing is, like, when you watch this promo, there's so much more that could be in the promo that didn't make the cut.
I was a little disappointed knowing the behind-the-scenes stories.
Yeah.
It's almost like we just need to do,
Where's the outtakes?
Extended
week
cut.
4, cut a little bit from your sermon, and we'll show the outtakes.
Yeah, it was so good.
Deal.
It's so much fun. And we could have, there were so many more ideas I would have loved to do, too. It was fun going back to school with you guys.
I just want everybody to know I made that shot.
You did?
No,
did.
I don't think I did.
Well, you made a couple of them.
I made the first one and the last one, but there was like 7 or 8 takes in between. So
I just
there's a good
how
chance I didn't.
Yeah, how exhausted and sweaty you were after shooting those shots.
Yeah.
But it was really...
Hey, let's do that one more time.
Yeah, but a special thanks to Summersville and Mrs. Lyday for letting us use their classroom. But she's known around here, so We don't have to. She had to.
It was fun. We got to do some weightlifting from Hayden, and
Yeah. You were
Kick
all
me
about,
signs.
yeah. I don't know how much you're supposed to be giving away right now, Trevor, but you're giving away a bunch of
They
it.
saw
They
it.
saw
Okay,
it.
good.
But that's the funny thing. There's so much. I love at the end when we go up for the high five, and I mean, I'm hitting the ceiling. I could jump so high.
Yeah.
Not me.
But okay, last question.
Yeah.
Would we have been friends in school?
Can I take my mindset now and apply it to my person then?
Nope. As you were
Then
there.
not a chance.
I don't think so.
No offense to.
I don't
to-
think I think we're running 3 different circles.
I
agree.
It depends.
Hayden's running in the cool kids
Catch
baseball.
me on what season of life I was in, but yeah,
We're talking. Let's talk junior year.
Ooh. See, I went from
Ooh,
being
that
like
was the worst
sophomore year,
year.
like being very nice and popular, to the exact opposite. So like
Save it for
probably
your
not.
interview.
And,
Sorry.
let's talk more about that next episode that that we're on, because I mean junior year I'm wearing sequin vest, so I don't think we would have ran around.
I don't
in the
think
same
we're.
circle.
I think we're in 3 different circles.
But our faith would have put us together. But in Effingham, at least, we didn't really have a big athlete. What am I thinking of? FFA. We didn't have
FCA.
FCA. Thank you, not farmers. But we didn't really have that. It was basically you had the smart kids. I'm using this with the smart kids and the theater kids were in the Christian or the Christian clubs, at least at Effingham. I don't know what it is like at Mount Vernon High School. So, and that's it for episode number 71 of the Central Weekly, week number 1 of summer school. Boys, I'm excited to see you in a couple weeks as you bring us the word from God's syllabus, the Bible. You like that?
Redo
awesome.
Please say bye. Okay, bye.
Bye.